All right, he was nearly shot to death during congressional baseball practice back in 2017. But now our next guest is calling out Democrats for refusing to even hear his testimony as they vote on the most high-profile gun control legislation in years. Here to explain, House Minority Whip Steve Scalise. So, Steve, what are they proposing that you wanted to put your point of view in?
Well, good morning, Brian. First of all, they've got two different gun control bills they're bringing this week already under Speaker Pelosi's new majority. And one of the bills is going to make it very hard for you to loan a gun to a friend. For example, let's say your neighbor has been beaten by her boyfriend. She's got a temporary restraining order against him, and she knows you've got a gun, and she says, hey, can I just borrow the gun tonight? I think he's going to come by and hurt me. If you do that, you could actually go to federal prison for a year and have a $100,000 fine. Those are the kind of things that are in this bill. It's dangerous. Anybody that has firearms that maybe has a friend that wants to borrow their gun to go try it out to see if they're going to buy one, you could go to federal prison for doing something that basic.
Why would someone want to bar dissenting testimony? If you want to make sure your legislation is looking at all sides, why stop all sides?
Well, Brian, I think that answers its own question, because they didn't want to hear all sides. They just wanted to hear the side of people who are promoting gun control. They didn't want to hear the side of people who, in my case, it was guns, people who use guns properly that saved my life and everybody else on that ball field. And it happens all the time in America, where people actually use a gun to defend themselves. By the way, that's what the Founding Fathers intended when they believed that it's not just the government's right that tells you you can have a gun, it's your own personal right to be able to protect yourself.
Steve, from their perspective, if let's say I go to a gun show, they do a background check, I can't get a gun because I have problems with my background, but I go to my neighbor and I say, hey, you have an extra gun, I'd like to buy it from you. That neighbor needs cash, sells it to him. Isn't that a problem, and wouldn't this legislation help that?
Well, if the neighbor knew that you had some kind of problem getting a background check, he couldn't make that transfer legally. So there's already a system in place. If they want to, by the way, make the system work better, then there are ways that they can do it. And a lot of these cases with gun crimes, by the way, Brian, we find out it was federal agencies not doing their job. It was maybe local law enforcement not doing their job. In the Parkland shooting, the FBI had this kid's name in a database where he said, I'm going to be a school shooter, and they let him go. Who's been held accountable for that? Why didn't they have a hearing with the FBI agents who touched that case and decided we're going to let him go, and then ultimately he went and became a school shooter?
Right.
We got to hold people accountable to do their job. Don't put more laws on the books that make you a felon if you loan your gun to your friend.
It's a travesty that Nadler and company are not going to let you speak. That shows they're insecure about their legislation. Steve, thanks so much.
Great being back with you.